Does The Weeknd feel bad about dating someone who isn't famous? Why did he get away with penning such misogynistic lyrics? Is Abel Tesfaye as toxic as his lyrics make him out to be? Stay tuned if you want to know why no woman can ever date The Weeknd. The Weeknd is undoubtedly one of the world's most popular performers. Based on the rapid and near-unanimous response to his recent Grammy snubs, Abel Tesfaye has gone from a shady Soundcloud-era secret to a multi-million-dollar powerhouse, and soon-to-be Super Bowl halftime performer since the early 2010s. His silken seduction and shadow towards his lovers is still imitated. While many of The Weeknd's quotes are still associated with a troubled soul, most of his catchiest songs raise more than a few warning flags in terms of relationships. The Weeknd's character is leading many to ask if the artist's character fits that of the person, especially in this age of mental health-focused music. The first thing that comes to mind when thinking of The Weeknd is sex. Even if your views regarding his contributions to the evolution of current R&B are purely technical, you are also thinking about sex. The Weeknd has developed a dark R&B strain that exhales sleaze like a powerful perfume. His songs resemble dirty motel rooms with undergarments strewn on the floor and a cigarette burning out in a glass ashtray. They are tales of joy and sorrow, desire and regret. It's overcast nights, chilly mornings, and guilt walks. His is the music of knowing better but still doing it. The Weeknd's music is frequently discussed in terms of whether it is sexy or sexist, and it's easy to see why. His whole album is made up of drug-fueled hookups in which he revels in being a self-admitted douche with no intention of improving and tries to get ladies out of the friend zone. In the story and video for Pretty, Abel seeks out a former lover with the intent of murdering her and the man she abandoned him for. Given how much time he spends talking about his own toxicity, it's revealing that the character we are told should have known better is almost always the woman. Women appear in The Weeknd songs as cautionary tales rather than real people. All the women in his world lack control, even if they aren't openly depicted as victims. When someone enters his room, it's assumed that she was forced into going rather than going of her own free will. It's only natural that he'd appear on the soundtrack for 50 Shades of Grey, a sexual fantasy about a 21-year-old college graduate and her sadistic relationship with an older man, which is framed as an expression of hidden desire, but is actually about a young girl being objectified by an abusive sociopath. If someone like the guy Abel Tesfaye may or may not be playing his music approached you in real life, you would, if you had learnt anything, throw tonic in his eyes and exit the club. He is exactly the type of character that fictitious parents want their imaginary daughters to avoid. It's impossible to know whether Abel is that guy, but his appeal is based on the possibility that he is. He's the type who admits all of his flaws right away, as if to free himself of blame. He romanticizes self-destruction in both himself and others. His creative relationship with Lana Del Rey reflects the way he portrays his female relationships. Last year, he told Pitchfork, "She is the girl in my music and I am the guy in her music." She is his lonely star, a girl Abel only sees on Thursdays, but gives him everything for that one day a week. The dispute over whether The Weeknd is seductive or sexist boils down to the reality that he can be both. But it's the notion that women don't or shouldn't appreciate his music because it portrays women so poorly that irritates them. Women may like The Weeknd's music because they can relate to him, but there is never any debate about it. Rich Juicewerk writes in a Gawker post, he advises lost women to stay away from him in reality and dream for 2 reasons. His voice isn't that good and is simply exploiting them. Leaving aside the irony of a man encouraging women not to have sex for their own benefit, it's a mistake to presume women naturally identify with women and men automatically identify with men. Echoes of Silence is a told-you-so story about someone falling for him knowing he was only in it for one night. Adaptation is a kiss-off to any meaning and identity he may have lost somewhere in the last however many partners. And The Hills is part celebration of sex without emotional baggage, part admission that intimacy is truly terrifying to him. It's no secret The Weeknd has tried to keep his personal life as private as possible throughout the years, and he rarely does interviews. When he first started out in the music industry, he sought to keep his image as low-key as possible. Despite his efforts to keep his personal life private, The Weeknd has had a few high-profile romances with celebrities. When asked if he feels bad about bringing so much attention and celebrity-dom into the lives of non-famous women, The Weeknd told GQ that he does. "I do feel guilty, for sure," the Save for Tears chart topper stated, adding, "That's why I don't. I try not to do too much. I just try not to bring attention to myself. And I just love being in normal situations, man. It's such a great feeling." The Weeknd has had love affairs and relationships with a number of celebrities. He previously dated model Bella Hadid and singer Selena Gomez, as most people are aware. Rosalía, a Spanish singer who appeared on the remix of his song Blinding Lights in 2020, actor Angelina Jolie and models Chantal Jeffries and Ivona Ventura are among those he has been romantically linked to. Overall, the singer's song includes questionable references to drug use and the use of women to feel less empty on the inside. His self-destruction is directed into an unusual form of meanness towards women, masked under a face of confidence, combined with intense self-loathing and insecurity. This is evident in songs like Call Out My Name and Wasted Times, in which he channels his hurt toward the women who abandoned him into indifference, going from saying, "I almost cut a piece of myself for your life," in the former song to dismissing the same woman in the later song, remarking that she wasn't even half of you, the elusive you being the partner he now regrets. In Shameless, he justifies what appears to be emotional sadism and brutality by discrediting his victims, making them appear as emotionally wounded and stunted as he is. For example, in Echoes of Silence, he sings offhandedly, "Girl, you're such a masochist," in order to portray his ex-wives as jilted or insane, over-possessive lovers rather than emotionally wounded women. He does this to clear himself of wrongdoing, but instead of relieving himself, he further mistreats his past partners in music. The Weeknd brags about acquiring cars, girlfriends and money because it's simple and he's a star boy, so why not? But the lights aren't so brilliant when you know his songs are filled with misogyny and outright sexism, and they're so filled with thinly disguised hatred for women that they border on emotionally abusive and rapey at times. Women aren't just women in his songs. They are bitches for the night, commodities for sale, bodies. They are just mouths good for giving head, or they are the reason he lives, which, rather than making these women saints, places great duty on them. This raises the question of whether The Weeknd is merely a character or the representation of Abel Tesfaye's true views towards women. After all, the man behind the character and the man behind the music could very well be the same person. Maybe The Weeknd is the man he warns us about in his music, someone to avoid at all costs. If he embraces and, worse yet, normalizes predatory and misogynistic songs, we should run for the hills. Nobody needs to fall in love. I promise I'm only a bird, he says himself in The Birds Part 1. I'm a prisoner to my addiction. I'm addicted to life that's so empty and so cold. I'm a prisoner to my decision. Abel Tesfaye said, women must not become slaves to his music and intentions. Well, that's all there is to say about Weeknd. With that, today's story time ends here. Did you guys feel any kind of toxicity in him? Do share your thoughts and comments in the comment box below, and do make sure to subscribe to our channel for a new chapter with a new story every day.